How many times have you reincarnated? There are 5 soul ages: infant, toddler, teenager, adult, senior. Kind of like the process of the human experience. Infant souls. Think of a newborn baby. This is their first time here, and they are just here to experience. They don't have a lot of fear, and every emotion that they live, they get over pretty fast. So if they're happy, they live it fast. If they're sad, they live it fast. They don't dwell on anything, and they're not overthinkers. They're here just to experience things. They are empaths. They do take in a lot of the energy. So sometimes you'll hear infant souls telling you like they're overwhelmed by what you're telling them. They can't dive into something very deep, a deep, meaningful conversation because it's a lot for them. Every soul can come back multiple times, not just one time. So an infant soul can come back 5, 10 times, as many times as they need to evolve to the next soul. This soul needs a lot of help in this world. This is why they surround themselves with all different types of people. They don't find their crowd. They just experience different types of people, and they're basically just experiencing life right now. Now you have the toddler soul. This soul has already lived, already experienced some stuff, and is now deciding to take risks. So skydiving, bungee jumping, craving that exhilaration, kind of like a toddler with no fear, just goes through life with no fear. They have extreme emotions, extreme outbursts, but they are very short-lived, and they get over them instantly. While other people may dwell on their things, they are over it in a minute. They feel like doing, they will do. If you call them up last minute and say, hey, you want to go out? They'll go out. If they don't feel like it, they won't. They're pretty good on their boundaries. Teenager souls. This one is a little tricky because they still have the fearless side from the toddler, but they are now starting to release the fear and trying to find themselves. Just like a teenager is trying to find themselves in this life, this is similar to the teenage soul. So they've been here for so many years that they've experienced, and then they took risks, and now they're experiencing life through the eyes of other people, not through their own experience. So they start caring what people think. Their actions towards others are often based in caring what they think and not appearing a certain way. And oftentimes these souls are either very extreme on one side. Let's say they're religious, for example. They will be extremely religious. Let's say they are conspiracy theorists. They will be the extreme conspiracy because they're trying to find themselves. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to feel. So either they need to go against the grain or with the grain. They're basically just trying to find themselves. You know how a lot of people have a hard time dealing with teenagers in general because their emotions can switch from one moment to the next? It's very similar when you're dealing with teenage souls throughout this life. It feels like they have emotional outbursts and they start overthinking. There's a lot of different emotions through this life of just really trying to find their purpose. Oftentimes these people will take jobs that go with what society tells them to do, but there's a calling inside them that they need to do something else, but they don't usually. Because at this point, they're trying to fit in. Now, just as I said before, many souls come back multiple times. And at the end of every soul, you'll notice they start taking on the other soul age. For example, the toddler that is fearless, when they start getting fear, it's actually good because now they're evolving into the teenage soul. When the teenage soul starts caring what people think, and then at the end of their life, they're like, wait a minute, if you do find yourself extremist, and as you're getting older, you're kind of releasing that, this may be your transition to the next soul, which is the adult soul. Now, the adult soul is more mature and stops caring so much what people think. Just like an adult living their life and starting to, now they already found themselves. They already did all that stuff. They even took the risks. They may still be risk takers. That still may be what they're doing, but they know who they are. They are confident within themselves, and they no longer want to feel those extreme emotions and extreme worldviews. For example, like I mentioned before, religious. So if somebody is a teenage soul, the religious, they will be extreme. But once they get into the adult soul, they will respect everybody else's view on their spiritual beliefs. They won't look at people and judge them and get angry that they're not fitting in with them. They will just say whatever makes you happy. live and let live. That's kind of the motto of the adult soul. Adult soul is now ready to break generational traumas. And instead of complaining about life, complaining about society, or complaining about people, some people in the teenage soul will complain about the government, and then other people will just complain about people. Now that you hit the adult soul, you're now understanding. You have more compassion, and you're going to say, I am actually now ready in these lifetimes to do something about it. So these people will start growing their gardens, start doing the internal work. They will integrate into the system and try to make a change from within. I consider myself personally at the end of my adult soul. So I do feel like I'm in this because I'm still working on me, working on helping. So if you are the healers, the helpers, the things like that, you just want to see peace and love in this world, most probably you are an adult soul. Again, every soul comes back multiple lifetimes, and you don't experience multiple souls at once. You experience one soul age, then once you start becoming like the other soul, you'll notice you jump. Now, it's not all or nothing. There are some things in your soul age that you can take from your previous souls. For example, as I mentioned, the young soul taking risks. You may be somebody that enjoys taking risks, but you are maybe a mature adult soul. After the adult soul, when you start just really healing and not having these outbursts of the residual teenager soul, and you start living your life and just experiencing life through your senses and respecting others' views, having compassion for yourself, compassion for others, you are now going to go into the senior retired soul. Now, those souls, there's a lot of people that have said on my videos, I am a retired soul. And although I understand what you guys mean, retired souls do not have social media. They very rarely even watch TV. They watch what they like, but they are mostly the people who are experiencing life at its fullest. They are going into nature. They most probably live in nature, have no social media, and are really similar to the newborn. It's kind of the cycle of life. And remember, time is not linear as we see it. When it comes to our soul, we are experiencing life just like the infinity. So once we finish this, we're kind of going back into that infant soul. And just like in life, infant, newborn babies and elderly seniors can be very similar in the facts of they like having help. But seniors don't really need as much help as the infants, because now they know who they are. They don't try to change anything in this world. They are fully accepting of what is going on in their external world. They accept every single thing, all the different types of people. And similar to the infant soul, they don't judge who their surroundings with. I forgot to mention that adult soul still says, I don't want to be around this person. I don't want to be around that. And through the adult soul, they're learning also to set boundaries, because teenager soul has a very hard time with boundaries. Adult soul are learning. Once they've learned, they now go into the retired senior soul, and they are very clear on their boundaries, but they surround themselves with all different types of people because there is no judgment through their eyes. I haven't met many. I have met a few, but I haven't met many senior souls. They are around, but they're usually in nature or somewhere by the beach, and this is where they live, and they're just enjoying everything of life without judgment. I'd love to know what soul you are, or you guys can tag your friends and find out what soul do they resonate with, or who you think in your family is what kind of soul. When it comes to our soul, our consciousness, there is no high vibes, low vibes. There is no good, there is no bad. It just is. You're just an observer. The energy that is making your body alive, this consciousness within you, is just experiencing life in the three-dimensional way. The three-dimensional does have high and low, but the soul doesn't know that. So if you validate yourself and say it's okay to just live this experience, you'll notice a lot more self-love and empowerment.